Well, welcome to another video. I usually pop it in at the end to like and subscribe, and there's something down here, or maybe it's over there, that Tyna puts in when she fiddles around with these videos in the back end, I think she calls it. And so if you could like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. She would really like that. I'm not too fussed about it personally, but the nature of the offering that I make through these videos is increased by sharing. So I guess if it helps to share by liking and subscribing and make it more popular on YouTube, then maybe that's a good thing, or just a thing. So I wanted to talk about the pendulum today, which is a concept that is reasonably familiar in spiritual circles, but one that I adopted, adapted, invented, put into use for myself in looking at the nature of duality, in looking at the nature of the yin-yang thought system, the human thought system, which you are taught and educated with when you first arrive here. And of course, because it's a thought system of opposites, good and bad, right and wrong, mine and yours, sickness and health, poverty and wealth, all these sorts of things. Everything's opposites, right? In the world, everything has an opposite. And that's the way that we're brought up. And we judge between them. We judge between the opposites, choosing the ones that we like and projecting out the ones that we don't like as being not in alignment with our sense of ourselves and not useful in our the false face that we present as a society, as to society. And of course that becomes painful. And somewhere the idea of just be yourself. Somewhere everybody kind of knows that, just be yourself. But of course, when you're very young and there's lots of influences and influencers these days, and types of things that sort of have little cliquey groups attached and things, and you're looking for an identity, you tend to gravitate towards the things that reflect that identity and reject the others. Now, on the grand scale, you could sort of see that in politics as the left versus the right, but it's actually the same thing. If you're opposed to the left, then somewhere in the yin-yang thought system, that makes you somebody who leans to the right. Or if you sort of find yourself finding a harmonic to the right, that makes you somebody who doesn't lean to the left. It doesn't mean that you're not part of the left or not part of the right. It just means that they're not your predominant values. Because you cannot not be part of it, because if you are a right-leaning person, it is the left that makes you that way. And I hope you can hear that. And vice versa. If you're a left-leaning person, it's the right that makes you that way. Without the right or without the left, you would simply be yourself. But you need something to compare yourself to in order to say, I am this, or I am a left person or a right person. But right in the middle, you just are yourself. It's only when you look over there and, ooh, look at that. No, I don't like that. Look over there. Ooh, look at that. Oh, that's not too bad. And you sort of build your identity. You build your sense of self based on things that fundamentally you've projected out from your mind. Being the co-creator of the universe, you are part of God. If God is everything, that must include you. Right? Gets pretty tricky. You project out a whole world and then decide against it in order to separate yourself from this or from that, from better or from worse. and so give yourself an identity able to be located within the framework of time and space. I am such a such, I live such a such, my age is such a such. And everybody is some form of such a such on the planet. But in that, everybody is all the same. There is no left, there is no right. We are all such a such. I think that'll become the title for this video, the such a such video. It doesn't matter what you call yourself within the framework of the entirety, because you're still stuck, you're still trapped in the matrix. What's the point of having an identity in the matrix when you still don't know fundamentally who you are? You're still basing your identity based on judgments either for or against those social structures and endearing sort of qualities that you imagine and give value to yourself that you think are going to make you likable or fit in with a certain dynamic or demographic. I mean, in recent years, we've had very, very clear examples on the world stage, especially if you watch American television. It is so brash and I don't even know what to call it. It's like Christmas all the time there. There is so much energy around everything that goes on in America. I think America is where they put everyone who's on their first life, on their first incarnation. When you've been here for 10 or 12 incarnations, perhaps you reincarnate in the Himalayas or something like that. Very peaceful, chilled out kind of, hopefully. Or here in Australia is not too crazy, but generally, you know, like if you promote yourself as the greatest country in the world, it certainly is that. It certainly is that. I mean, you just got to look at it and you're like, if there's no other kind of indicator in the world that this must be a divine joke, you only have to look at the videos, you know. And Tina says to me, you guys in America don't see all the kind of stuff that really goes on here. You only get what your media portrays. And yeah, that's probably true. But the media portrays according to the dynamic of our receptors, the dynamic of our sort of demographic here, and I guess what it thinks is going to be popular, like an algorithm. But if the popular that we see is only the flip side of the unpopular that we don't see, then it's still the same thing. It's still the such a such inside the such a such. But it's an extreme example of it. So the pendulum comes in when, let's say, I'm pursuing my spiritual good, I'm pursuing my highest good, and I'm setting my goal as inner peace. I want to leave the such a such behind, this such a such or that such a such. It doesn't matter. It's exactly the same. One verifies the other and one implies the other. The left implies the right. You're neither of those. The right implies the left. You're neither of those. This religion implies that religion. This religion validates that religion, because religions are a way to compete and conflict with each other. They are systems, religions, governments, systems of thought, systems of address, hoping to make good on the shortfall of human knowledge, of human understanding, wherein everybody, let's say, all of a sudden realizes why they're here and realizes the true nature of their divine being. But that's not the case. There's a shortfall, and religion, politics, sport, everything, absolutely everything in the world tries to make up for that shortfall by offering this or that, this or that, this or that, so that you don't ask the question, what am I? Why am I here? Constant distraction. The yin, the yang, constant distraction, such and such, such and such, such and such. Around and around and around it goes all day, every day, even into the night time. Blah, 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 the left, the right, the left, the right. This and that, yakety yak. Welcome to the human experience. Now, when you start a spiritual discipline, when you choose for inner peace and when you make a choice for inner peace and respect that choice and uphold that choice in all subsequent decision-making opportunities where it seems to be that you're called upon to make a decision within the such or such here or the such or such there. I watched I didn't watch it all, it just got so ridiculous. Somebody, it was about abortion, and I don't want to get controversial here, but there was somebody who was either for or against abortion on this side, I forget, and somebody who was pro-choice. Make up your own mind whether you want to or whether you don't want to, and somebody here trying to say it either should be or it shouldn't be. And the person who was trying to say that it either should be or shouldn't be was trying to get the person who was pro-choice to make a decision. What camp are you in? You're either this or you're either that. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm pro-choice. And pro-choice is not against or for. It's pro-choice. Now, in spiritual discipline, neither of the decision-making perspectives offered by either of those people is what we're looking at. Neither of them. We're bringing both of those together as the cause and effect of my relationship with the world that comes back and out and back and out. And I'm appearing to myself in the world every instant, projecting this physical body into the illusion of people that are talking, arguing, whatever they're doing, to make decisions, which perpetuates the dream experience. Eventually, I have to choose not this and not that. I don't care whether it's for or against or whether it's pro-choice. Neither of those things. I'm not this and that, and I'm not, do whatever you want. Because the pendulum is what I'm looking at. Which way is my pendulum gravitating towards in the world? I mean, for me, it's neither of those things. But you might be watching this video with some sort of perception, well, that person's obviously correct if they're against abortion, or this person's obviously correct if they're pro-choice, because you have an alignment to one or the other, the yin or the yang. Your pendulum swings more this way than that way. Now, to get off that example specifically, I want to use a different example. You are mind. You are mind. Okay, God is mind. God is a Hebrew word, means I am. Derived from, let me see if I can get this right. I always Allah, okay, which is in the Aramaic, Allah or Allah. Okay, so if you believe in God, you believe in Allah. Allah is the Aramaic word which has been translated down through Aramaic to Persian, Persian to Hebrew, Hebrew to Greek, Greek to Latin, Latin to English. I think I got that right. If you believe in God, you believe in Allah. Now, for all my Muslim brothers and all my Christian brothers who are constantly trying to work out whose God is right, it's the same God. Just do a little research, you street vending, vagabond, bloody zealots. And I say that lovingly. Do a little research, figure it out. You'll actually realize you're talking about the same thing and you'll stop arguing. However, the buck doesn't quite stop there. We have this thing called purification, which is a process of bringing the mind to a state of perfect stillness where it is no longer attracted to the left or to the right. Now, some of you, and I'm going to point out there for a second, which I don't generally like to do. I like to keep my finger there. But some of you, and I'm only pointing out there because I had a bit of a back and forth with Roger the other day, one of the guys in our Zoom, and also somebody else who is new on the case, straight after that almost, for almost exactly the same kind of thing. So some of you guys are going to be left-brained and right-brained. If you've worked in an academic setting, in a very clinical or administrative setting, you're going to be very logical, you're going to be very methodical and all these sorts of things. If you've worked in a more artistic setting, a more creative setting, you're going to be more emotional, you're going to make decisions, and can you see the left and the right where I'm going with this? Right? Now, when you come to transformation and learning to hear the spirit, what you're learning to hear is the heart space. You're learning to listen to your heart space, that sense of your truth. Try to hear me say that, the sense of your truth. You have a truth within you, a divine truth, and it is calling you, and you are learning to listen to it. Initially, you're going to feel it as a kind of an emptiness in your heart. I don't feel like I fit in. I feel something's wrong. Why don't I fit in here? What is wrong with the world? All that sort of thing. And you'll do whatever you can, choosing between this and that to try and fill up that shortfall, fill up that emptiness, which is literally God calling you. Energy calling you. Light, frequency calling you. But if you are right-brained or left-brained, if you're a right-brained person, an academic person, you will try to conceptualize, what is that? Why do I feel? And you'll look for answers out there in the yin-yang of the world, why you feel empty, I'm unfulfilled, I must need more goals, I must need more structure. I need to control things more. You'll probably become a politician. And you'll realize that the control of the left and the control of the right, it's still just control. The need to fill up that emptiness and be busy and make things right because something's wrong. Let me be a politician and fix everything, make it right, and then I won't feel this weirdness inside, this existential emptiness. Or if you're a more left-leaning person, you'll be more emotionally driven. You'll be more artistic, creative, etc. And that emptiness that you have in there, you'll feel it and you'll want to paint something on a canvas, or you'll want to write poetry or music or dance or, be an influencer or something like that, so that you feel a sense of fulfillment. But the one thing that you cannot do is fulfill that emptiness with any kind of cause and effect relationship between anything out of the such a such world. It can only be filled by God, Allah. It can only be filled by truth. And then you won't feel empty again. Then you won't feel lost. Won't feel like you don't belong. You won't care what this side says or that side says. You won't care what religion says this or what religion says that, because you will have transcended all need for religion, all need for politics. You will be in the world, but not of it. You see how good you're starting to feel about that? You may not completely understand it, but I haven't got to the pendulum yet. So as you begin your transformative process, let's say you're reading A Course in Miracles, or you're reading the Bible, or you're reading the Bhagavad Gita, or the Tripitaka or whatever it is you're reading, you will be applying the principles of your spiritual determination to your life to bring yourself to a state of more peaceful, more loving, more fulfilled experience. Hopefully with the idea that you're actually attempting to reach enlightenment, which is the memory of your true self. It's not a different thing somewhere else that you don't already have. It's something in you that you are literally remembering as you remove the blocks to the awareness of that memory of it within yourself. And you do that through forgiveness. Forgiveness of my judgment for the whole such as such world, for the whole left, the whole right, all of it. Now, as you go through your relationships, you're going to have this side that you really like and that side that you don't, and your pendulum's going to swing more to this side. You want your pendulum to hang perfectly straight, to be perfectly centered. The middle path, the narrow path, whatever, in the middle. Not this, not that. Bring it together. Boom, here. But you will see where you're at in your own mind. You'll see the grievances and the conflict and the chaos and everything based on the identity you give yourself here, opposed to what it is that you see out there. And you'll swear, this is me, that's not me. But if you are whole, if you are as you are above in eternity, so below on earth, you are one with all things here. And the game of separation then must be just an illusion. I see in the other person a mirror of what I deny myself by choosing only one half of my life experience and projecting the other half out. I don't want to know about that person or those people. They're all you. If God is everything, it's all God. You are part of God, therefore the whole experience is what you are. Fundamentally, you are asleep in eternity, adrift in your own mind as a figure in your own dream, starting to wake up, listening to this video, and I'm telling you, this is the process whereby you will begin to awaken. Not you, the person watching the video, you, the dreamer of the dream, which is the mind in eternity that seems to be for a second. Remember, time works differently in eternity. There's no such thing as time there. But for an instant, a second's too long, an instant. All of time, the Alpha and the Omega, transpired as an idea of potential possibility within the framework of a single perception of myself as being separate from source, separate from myself. The process of awakening is realizing I'm not separate from myself and being about the process of healing my mind that believes that I am by thinking that I'm separate from other people's situations and events. It's all me. Everything I see is me. I'm walking in my own dream. I'm in my own mind. Everything is symbolically representing something that my mind, my consciousness, tells me what it is and reports back to me on the value that I've given it, the meaning that I've given it. None of which is real because I don't know the meaning of life. I mean, I know the meaning of life. I'm just gesturing here. So it's difficult. There's a sort of a paradoxical moment there where you recognize the singularity of things and there's nothing to say beyond that. But yet, because I know that those who come after and those who have gone before have been through this exact same process as I'm now in, I have to follow that exact same process as if I am separate from the world, but knowing that I'm not. And you'll be the same. You'll have this ring past knot where the singularity and the duality of life seems to be in conflict with each other. And you keep your finger on your nose and then you're pointing out there and doing this all the time. But it doesn't matter once you accept the singularity of life. The illusion of the duality doesn't make any difference. You're simply making a declaration of the certainty of your own mind, as I am now, that God is a fact, that none of this is so. And coming to the realization that none of this is so is what we're about in this video. Because it's nothing as a concept. Salvation is freedom from concepts, freedom from the such as such world. So your pendulum's going to be hanging over this way. In the idea of healing, you have to release the identity that you feel about yourself based on your association with the left or the right, which it's my left hand here, and looking at myself in the screen. Don't know which is my left or right. But you have to release that. And then when you forgive, I forgive myself for thinking that I'm somebody that votes for those people on the right, let's say, or votes for those people on the left. And the pendulum is going to be released. The pendulum is your sense of self. And it's going to swing all the way back to the other side. All of a sudden, because you have released your association, which is part of your identity that you think you are as a body, with the right, that pendulum's going to be looking, your sense of self is going to be looking for alternatives to that. It cannot not, because the ego's only domain is consciousness. And so it's going to swing over to this side and see if there's anything there. Right? Now, you don't know what God is. You've forgotten. I'm telling you that you have to learn how to be still, and then you'll find what God is. So the pendulum swings over there, and you might be tempted by something over there because you've suddenly released this over here on the right. Oh, I'm not this kind of person, or I'm not a religious person, or I'm not a zealot, or I'm not a whatever it is. I don't want to be that anymore. I've decided I want to know the truth of myself, and I'm just going to start letting go of all of my associations. Pendulum swings over there. You might pick up something over here. Oh, that's shiny. It's like you might meet a person that you like. And even though they have different beliefs, and all of a sudden you realize you're starting to take on those beliefs, and now all of a sudden you're gravitating to the left. It's like, hang on a minute, the left is just, and you're looking over there at the right, and it's like, all I've done is change the deck chairs on the Titanic. I don't want that either. You have to be vigilant. I don't want this either. I don't want this or this. I don't want this such or such or that such or such. But my pendulum is going to swing regardless, until it comes to there. And then in that relationship, let's call that one politics, the left and the right. And then in my relationship with politics, I no longer see myself in the right. The thing swings over to the left, and it swings back, and it stops swinging and stops swinging. And those cycles that I have of participating and reinforcing the identity of myself in falsity based on politics, left or not, not left or not right, that pendulum comes to a stillness. When it comes to a stillness, right, and it doesn't have to take time, it can happen according to your willingness to allow it to be still, by simply choosing for that stillness. But when you find that stillness in that situation, the investment in your identity that you had previously given to being a person who votes on the right or a person who votes on the left, which also verifies the right and the left, the other way, all of that comes together, right? It collapses in as part of your old identity. It's a collapse of identity. I'm not this, I'm not that, I don't know what I am in that regard. I give up. And you let that collapse. Now, the emotionality that you've built that illusory house of cards on, because of the meaning that you've given everything, it's going to be there. It's going to be raw. All this emotion's going to want to come up because you're going to feel antsy. You're going to feel this emptiness again because you developed a identity based on left or right in that relationship situation, deliberately to fill up the emptiness that can only be filled by God. When you choose not to be left and not to be right, what's going to be there? I'm not going to play the outside world game anymore. I'm going to get rid of that. I forgive myself of that. Now what? Oh, I start to feel this again. this existential anxiety. I start to feel it again. Ooh. And then you start to look out to the left and the right. Ooh, geez, I don't like it. I better find something to fill that up. No, don't. Let it be there. Don't adjust to your pain. It's only the mind that calls it pain, remember. It's just a frequency. It's a call. It is God, literally God speaking to you, the universe speaking to you, Allah speaking to you, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't need a name. And in fact, God, Allah, whatever, doesn't actually have a name. It's only us that give it something. I mean, if you look at it from the Hebrew, I am. The ocean doesn't call itself the ocean. And yet every drop in the ocean is part of the ocean, exactly the same as people. Don't adjust to your pain. And then you go into another relationship. I'm either business-minded or artistically minded. Now, I did want to address a little bit on this front, because when people, the whole point, right, of spiritual discipline is learning to feel, learning to include, learning to hear the call for God within you, the call for Allah within you. And be guided by that. Be guided by the spirit of wholeness, or the Holy Spirit. Be guided by it through the world in a peaceful manner. Let those who think of you think of peace. Let those who think of you think of the Spirit, the alternative to the yin and the yang. Become a peaceful person, not by pretending to be peaceful, but because you've released your mind from this or that. Now, if you're an academically minded person and you come across a scripture of some regard, you're going to want to study it, and you'll probably study it very diligently and know it back to front. If you're an artistically minded person, let's say, or a creatively minded person, you'll probably be more philosophical with it, and you won't study it so much as use it as an oracle or some kind of thing like that. And you'll be more loose with it. It's still just a pendulum. Right? Jesus had 12 disciples, each disciple hand-picked from, I think it was Simon, the tax collector, Peter, can't remember now, but and fishermen and builders and all sorts of people. Each one have their own frequency. Each one represents an association in the idea of Jesus's cause and effect relationship within the spectrum of his, what would you call it? 12 tribes, 12 houses, 12 rays of God that he would have been aware of as the 12 aspects of consciousness that he was looking at to heal through each of those brothers that he called specifically to him and kept in his ministry and kept close to him. They were all symbolic as well as being useful to the overall plan. But in Jesus' personal atonement, all symbolic, all representing something. Now, each of you will also, if you pay attention, if you become conscious of what's going on in your transformative process, you will be aware that you go through a number of different kinds of relationships. A relationship with religion, with politics, with a person, with a child perhaps, with an animal perhaps, with a personal interest or a hobby, or relationships. And they all have a slightly different frequency to them. In the Course in Miracles, it says, those you are meant to meet, you will meet. You're going to meet 12. I'm just going to give you that off the top. Right? You're going to have 12 meetings, 12 opportunities. If you miss one, it'll come around again, don't you worry. Ultimately, each of those 12 is you. It's a reflection. It's part of your own association. If you look at the idea of the visible spectrum of light, for example, we can see 7 7 colours with our physical eyes, and 5 we can't see. They exist in the infrared and the ultraviolet and all of that sort of thing. But there are 12, right? 7 that fell from grace and became part of the conscious, part of the ego domain, and 5 that stayed true, which make up the celestial aspects of your higher mind. We're learning to bring our conscious mind through those different aspects and different relationships into an alignment with those parts of our higher mind that stay true, and allow the above and the below to connect. Boom, Shankar, enlightenment. You remember everything, and then all of you is true. You may still have some time and space left in you, as I do, to be about your Father's business. But it doesn't mean that your mind isn't now operating from a true perspective. Once you know the truth, you can't forget it again. You can't deny that you know it. So you have this pendulum swinging backwards and forwards. Those with an academic mind might find it a bit more difficult to feel, to have that emotional, allow for that emotional upwelling. You might find yourself sitting there for a long, long time, feeling empty, feeling nothing, but that's still feeling. Or somebody who's artistic and creative on the extreme, let's say, you may be overly emotional, like Tyna. Bringing the cause and effect together in those particular states is... each has its own nuances, let's say, but both of them is addressed the same way, miraculously. The prayer of the heart for the healing of the mind, but you have to be able to see yourself first. You have to be able to see that you're particularly unemotional and more diligent, or you're particularly over-emotional and less responsible. Can't be told anything, loves to be told stuff. And we all, each of us has a left brain or right brain general sort of thing, and there are 12 rays within that each. 12 relationships for each. And the yin and the yang, the left brain and the right brain, will be brought together to bear homage, let's say, to the idea of the heart space and the mind working together as one, heart and mind together as one. And I hope that resonates with you guys somewhere. It's very difficult to talk about the celestial things unless you've actually had an experience. And those of you that have had some sort of experience with that will probably be nodding about, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And those of you who's just in the beginning on your second incarnation, you'll be like, what is this guy talking about? You don't need religion. You don't need religion. Imagine having a gift from God and then trying to orchestrate how other people should enjoy it. Imagine being given a divine teaching and then telling other people that this is how you have to interpret it. And yet the Spirit is like the wind, and no man knows where it comes and where it goes. Jesus says in the Course that revelation is intensely personal. I've had revelation. I can try and tell you about it, but it doesn't mean that that's how revelation's going to be for you. Your relationship with God is going to depend upon the entirety of the idea of where you're at in your own 12-ray association as an idea of healing or coming to or repenting, turning around or being penitent towards your idea of God, not my idea of God. I guarantee you it's the same idea, but we come at it from our individual psychologies. And that's where we do the work. We seem to have an individual psychology each, but it's not really true. But you can't just jump to the not really true bit, because that's transcendence. And the spiritual path is transformative, not transcendent. I know that some religions teach transcendence, Buddhism especially, one of the I don't know if it's Mahayana, or I know it's not Zen, but and there's another one, I can never remember the other one. There's three main. But anyway, that pendulum is going to swing back and forth, and as you release your dependence on identity based on one of the yin or the yang in one situation, it'll show you the other side of the situation. And there'll be a temptation to want to fill up that emptiness again. Don't fill it up. Let it be empty. Let yourself undergo the total terror of the whole collapse of your human thought system, the whole collapse of that false identity, and have an experience. Oh. Oh, thank you, Father. And remember, just be yourself. When you pray, be yourself. There's no right or wrong way to pray. There are ways that are more advantageous than others. I mean, if you're praying in a repetitive, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, doing the rosary and all of that, or even in Islam, the repetitious, the mantra style prayer, it's like, that is useful in one sense to help you learn how to still your mind and be silent, because you're focusing on a single activity of mind in that moment. But if you think you're actually praying to Allah, if you think you're praying to God by doing the rosary again and again and again, imagine that you have a child and that child comes to you and says the same thing every day, over and over. You would take that child to a psychologist. Be natural in your prayer. Just talk to your Father. Climb a mountain if you have to, but just talk, speak from the heart, and you'll be answered. Peace.